everybody, it's Stephen and Walter here again for another episode of So Chatty. It is episode, I don't know what number, I don't do that anymore, the numbers. Gave that up. It's April 10th. Yeah, 2026. Okay, let's jump right into what I've been working on. The Jacobean floral table runner is now finished. I think it turned out pretty good. If you remember from The Idiot Quilter, I bought this new book called The Quilt Binding Bible by Marcia somebody. And I looked hers up for, although I have done...
Marcy Baker.
Marcy. What did I say?
Marcia.
No, Marcia. Yeah, okay, Jan. Yeah, Marcy Baker. Anyways, great book. And there is a section in there on putting binding on curves. Now, this kind of curve, I have done binding on this kind of curve before. I know how to do it. So, but I thought I'd follow her instructions, and they were fairly clearly written for how to make bias binding, because you want sort of stretchy binding when you're going around curves. So yeah, I use that, and yeah, it is now living on our dining room table for now. So that's one thing. The Alaska quilt, or the quilt from hell, as I call it. I shouldn't call it the quilt from hell right now, because I am getting better at it. I'm getting used to how the instructions are designed and how to use the ruler and everything. This is block set number 4. So it's coming along quite nicely. So I'm moving my way into block set number 5. There are 12 block sets plus one single block for this. So it's coming slowly but surely. And of course, what else is taking up my time is the Art East second star to the right, the Peter Pan quilt. And I have done Peter Pan, and he's looking pretty good. I have a couple of issues with this, which I don't think are totally issues with me. Like, for example, his arm didn't really, in that one panel, didn't actually, I matched up the seam allowances, but I think what happened here is, and I don't think it was, I made a cutting mistake, but it could be me, I'm not sure. But it's out by, well, I think it needed to be, one of the pieces in that strip needed to be 1/4 of an inch shorter, no longer. No, shorter or whatever, to get it to fit properly. I could go back and diddle with it, but I'm not going to diddle with it because he's a comical character. I don't know. It's not supposed to be realistic. And in the big scheme of things, it's not going to be a real problem. And I just want you to know, I wasn't the only one that had this.
You weren't the
problem.
only one in the village?
No, I wasn't. But I'm sure there'll be other ones out there, and I'm not going to mention names, Russ, who will say, I didn't have a problem at all. It worked perfectly. So, well, bully for you. It just wouldn't be one of my quilts if there wasn't something just a little off. And this isn't the only thing that's off, and this one is totally my mistake. If you look at the bottom panel here, his shirt comes down. Well, you see how the points go? Yeah, this point's wrong. This point, is that the point that's wrong, or is that it's this point? I think it's this point I got wrong. Yeah, in here. That should have been flipped the other way. So it'd be a mirror image of this part of his shirt. But you want to know something? Unless somebody points it out to you, you're probably not going to notice it. Well, Walter might. But, you know, normal people, they wouldn't. But anyways, it is kind of fun to do. It's kind of neat because you're putting all these little pieces together, and as you start to see the picture emerge, almost makes it, notice I said almost, makes all the cutting you have to do worth it. There is a lot of cutting, but John's instructions are very clear.
Shirt's supposed to be like the V on the
shirt.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, and I saw that in others. Yeah, it's that part. I'm not sure why, but it is.
Well, maybe it's to make it, maybe he thought it looked too symmetrical.
Maybe. Yeah, that could be. Yeah, there's little things like this on, but it's not major. I mean, these are very, very minor things, and I would even say they are mistakes. They're, what do you want to call it? Unique characteristics, possibly. That kind of thing. So I've got Peter done. Wendy's next. Now, Wendy looks like she has a little less cutting to her, but we'll see. We'll see. So that's coming along, and not that yet. Okay, so what have you got to show for yourself?
Well, I haven't really been wearing. I've started this shirt a little while ago, actually, last Soul Day at the club.
Nobody can see what you're talking about.
Hang on. Anyway, but I'm still working on it. I've got the sleeves in. I've got it almost done. I just have to put the collar on and the buttons. So
But he's also working on another shirt too.
I cut out another shirt. We're going to a Soul Day tomorrow, so I cut out another shirt for Steven. And
I love the fabric.
and it's
Steampunk.
steampunk.
Steampunk
Oh, that's
air
the right way
balloons,
around. Yeah,
airships, air balloons,
Yeah.
things like that. I love it. It's a little different
yeah.
from
So
anything I've got.
yeah, so I'm going to be doing that as well. So
It'll be my Japan shirt.
yeah.
I will take more than one. Okay, just in case I know you get comments going, what? You go for 2 weeks on vacation and you take one shirt?
No, we take two.
Yeah. One that smells and one that doesn't smell as bad. Yeah, really. We don't stink. No.
Well, actually, there are a couple of places that we're staying actually has laundry facilities. So.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So, anyways, that's what Walter's been up to. But he's been up to something more. As usual, he's still working on his free motion and doing some ruler work this week. So, here is new bed sheet he's working on here. And you did those little square boxes all on your own. Did you use a ruler for the grid?
Yeah, for the grid, yeah.
Oh, they came out pretty
I
good.
use a ruler for the grid, and the lines in between the horizontal lines, I put the channel lock on.
That's what channel locks are for. But now, were all of these done with the rulers?
No, some weren't. Some were kind of freehand. Like I did. It's hard to point out. I mean, here we've got here. This one I did it with a ruler, right? This one I did without. Actually, I did this one, the center part with a ruler, but then I did the rest of it freehand. And then this I did freehand. And that I did the half moon with a ruler, and the rest was freehand. This one here, I did this inner part here with a ruler, but then I didn't have a ruler to do the inner part, so I did it by freehand, and it was kind of wonky. I did this one with a ruler here, this one, and then this one I started with a ruler, but then I did some freehand again, mainly because I got tired of using a ruler.
Oh.
This one I did the ruler. So it wasn't completely even, but I got pretty close to being even. So this I just did some freehand stuff.
Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about ruler work?
I find it's tedious.
Yeah, and why?
Well, you got to position the ruler and everything else and try and get it right. And then sometimes, like over here, I went off the line over here.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So, like, I mean, I accidentally moved the head over instead of against the ruler. So,
yeah, well, what I found when I tried ruler work is you have to be aware that you are a 1/4 inch away from the ruler because of the ruler foot.
Yeah, you do. You have to watch what you're doing because the foot takes about 1/4 of an inch. And you have to, it's fine if you stick the ruler up against it down here or something. But then when you get up here, you got to make a lot for that extra 1/4 inch.
Yeah. That
you have to put the ruler out. And now, mind you, there are some markings on some of the rulers. And you can, like over here in this box here, I used the markings on the ruler. So every time I moved the ruler in, I moved it the same amount in so that the lines were more even.
Should I kind of like that design? The wonky box.
I think, well, that one was really slow, but I think if I got that, I should try a few more of those just to see if I can do it faster.
Yeah. Now, what were you trying up here in this one next to this? This is nice, the little leaf thing.
That was freehand.
That's actually quite nice.
Yeah, actually, there was a pattern for that, to do that, and actually I found it very easy to do.
Yeah, I like that design. But this one,
although one side's a little better than the other side, but it doesn't really matter.
And then this
that I was trying a sample thing on one of the books I was using, and that really didn't turn out the way I thought it would.
Yeah. But yet they're looking not bad all the time. Soon you'll be graduating to doing it on an
Yeah,
actual
well,
quilt.
I guess it looks more. I think if this was all done on a patterned piece of cloth, it wouldn't be quite so obvious the
No, it wouldn't
mistakes
be.
or something like that, because it would be more forgiving.
But then that brings the question, is there really such a thing as a mistake in free motion?
Well,
Since you're making it up as you go
I
along.
think when you go to a quilt show and you see all these nice free motion quilts, if that's what they've done, or if they've done it through machine quilting, is that all of their loops and everything look very
Even.
even.
Yeah, well,
Right?
that's because of practice.
But I'm sure that's because of practice. And I think what I'm doing isn't um doesn't look bad for somebody that's not hasn't done it very much.
No,
Yet.
actually, I think it looks pretty impressive, given the fact that you've only been doing this for a couple of weeks. So
Yeah, actually, somebody I read it in a book that not to and I haven't been. I've been doing it for maybe 40-minute, 30 to 40-minute sessions each time.
Mhm.
And they said that if you try and do too much at once, that, which is true, you get tired after a bit of doing it, and then you kind of lose interest, right? And then see, look, there's that tree thing that I did in
Okay, no one can see
okay,
what
no,
you
no.
just said.
Okay, all right, hang on. Okay, see, I can do this thing.
Here. Yeah, double.
Okay, if you look here, this
Yeah.
one here, that's that shape in the middle I was trying to do.
Oh, yeah.
Right, which is similar to what I did.
Yeah. So that's where you got the idea?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, somebody asked.
And look at the box on the top, too. It isn't exactly what I was doing.
Oh, I
but
see.
similar.
Yeah, okay. So somebody was asking, since we're showing this up here now, about the books that you're using. Now, we did go over these a week or two ago, but we talk a little bit about them again because Walter's used them more. So this one, Shape by Shape, there's the book. It is by Angela Walters. And if you're not familiar with Angela Walters, you should be, because she is a supreme free motion quilter. I used to watch her when I first got into quilting on YouTube. She had the Midnight Quilting Show or something, and she always had a glass of wine off to one side, and away she would go on all these designs, and it was actually fascinating to watch her. I don't know if she still does that or not, but because I haven't watched her in a long time. But that's one book. Now, these books that I'm showing you are all available on Amazon, so all you have to do is just put in free motion quilting and you'll find all these books. That one's by Angela Walters. Then okay, so before I move on, so what do you think of this book?
I think it's not bad. Yeah, actually, what this one is more, if you've got like a particular block in your quilt, like a, a triangle or something, or a box or a circle, that it gives you an idea of what you can do in that space.
Yeah. Well,
right?
it says 70 plus designs for blocks, backgrounds, and borders.
Right.
So there you go. And then another book that you are using.
Yeah, I've been using that one. Actually, I kind of like it as well, because it gives you an idea of use. It gives you some samples of different patterns, like what do you call it, feathers and things like that. So
it looks like fill-in patterns.
Yeah, fill-in patterns and stuff. So I've used it a little bit as well, and it seems to be pretty good as well.
And then you got this one, which is another Angela Walters.
Yeah, I haven't used that one as much. It seems to be a little bit more intense. But I have looked at it as well, and it has a lot of the same designs that the other ones have as well. So,
and this is volume 1, because I noticed when I was looking these up, there's a volume 2.
Oh, is there?
Of this one as well, yeah. So lots, yeah, you can tell on this one if the cover's any indication. Like, these look really involved.
Yeah, well, actually, a lot of these patterns, if you really think of them, they're variations of themes. Like there's curls, and then there's like circles within circles, or in some places they've switched the circles within circles to like a leaf pattern with a leaf pattern within it, right? There's some basic designs, and I think you have to get the hang of all the basic designs.
Yeah. Well, of course, too, and there's a lot of echoing going on.
Yeah, it is.
But
Yeah.
in this, you can see. So, yeah. So, and I guess the hard part here though is like you got to have a plan, because if you look at this cover of this book right here, she's got several different designs that one leads into another, and she uses little designs to fill in things and stuff like that. So there's some planning goes into this, but I guess if you do it enough, it wouldn't be that difficult. What are you looking at?
I was trying to look up, there's another one that I watch, and I was trying to figure out what what person was. I can't do it offline.
Well,
Adriana something or another or something.
That's really helpful.
Yeah, I know.
Well, don't worry about it.
Yeah. I'll have to look it up and talk about the previous next one. There are a couple other ones that I go on YouTube and look for free motion quilting, and there's lots of people that have all kinds of ideas and that, but there's one that I started watching this, and she was doing like feathers and that, and but what she was showing more is, I mean, she does a really good job. She's like, is very professional, but she does it. She shows you the act of quilting, and she'll say, I have to stop for a minute and think of what I'm going to do next, type of thing. So it's not like she completely free flows through everything. She free flows and then she stops. And then she says, I have to think of how I'm going to tackle the next part and stuff like that.
Well, I think that might be, I could see myself trying to do something like this, and it would run away from me.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to learn, I guess, to really like to stop and think before you start going crazy.
Yeah, and I think what happens, you're gonna make mistakes. Like, I mean, she's doing like the one that I was talking. She was doing. It's easier to see on a blank. If you're an empty space, right?
Yeah.
Like a plain white or plain black or plain thing. So if they're doing that, free motion quilting, it's easier to see what they're doing than if somebody's trying to show you free motion feathers on a wildly quilted piece of fabric, right?
Yeah.
So it is interesting to see. I find some of them are better at explaining what they're doing than other ones are.
Yeah. Well, they're really explaining their thought process.
And then there's another one on there that seems to be trying to sell products and stuff like that.
Well, there's always that.
Like, I mean, she shows you how to do. They'll do a central for feathers. They'll do a central vine type first. What do you call it? For your spine, right? For your feathers, all the way down. Let's say the one side of a quilt, like the horizontal piece of the quilt, and then they're using a specialty ruler that they design.
Oh yeah. Well,
and they have for sale. Right?
Yeah, of course, always that kind of thing. Well, it's coming along quite nicely. So that takes us to announcements. Sewing with me on Wednesdays as usual. Link is in the show notes. Update on the retreat. Well, we still have a few places left. I believe I'm up to about 81 registered, and I said I had 95 spots. So what's that? 14 places left. So if you've been sitting on the fence, don't, because those may go relatively quickly. I don't know. This is the time in this whole process where I may get 1 or 2 new registrations over the next period of a couple of days. And I am anticipating that I will have a couple of people who will send me an email to let me know that unfortunately they can no longer attend for whatever reason. And don't tell me you have to babysit your grandchildren. That one's not a good excuse. Okay, I said that in my video way back. But anyways, there are still spots available if you are interested. And remember, it's absolutely free. Now, I have been in contact with my presenters just to make sure everything's on schedule with them, and it seems to be. They're all raring to go, so that's great. Those should be really good presentations. And if you forget who I'm having the Maureen O'Connor, the opinionated quilter. You can look up her channel on YouTube. She's a very interesting person. Um, they're all interesting people. We have John from Art East Co. As well, and he'll be talking about his latest products and what he's got coming up. And he's a busy fellow, believe me. He's into his quilt designs and things 110%. He has spent so much time, and I've just had a new appreciation for how much effort he puts into things with this Peter Pan one that I'm doing, because he has videos that take you through it step by step as well. And those videos are very, very well done, very professional, and they must have taken hours to produce. So yeah, he's a busy guy. I don't know how he gets out what he gets out with it. Maybe in the East Coast of Canada they have longer days. I don't know.
No, maybe it's just there's nothing to do and nowhere to go.
Well, there's that too. Anyways, but yeah, so looking forward. I know many people will be looking forward to his presentation as well. And then, of course, we have Ruth Roberts, who's a clinical psychologist, and she's going to talk about the link between the creative process of sewing and quilting with what's going on in our brains. That should be quite interesting. She is not doing free psychoanalysis, people. So leave your troubles at home for that day. So yeah, and of course, next Friday night, 1 week from when we've recorded this, which is April the 17th, we have at 7 p.m. Eastern, for anybody who is registered for the retreat, the Icebreaker Cocktail Party, where for a couple of hours we just eat, drink, chat, get to know each other, maybe watch a couple of funny little videos I have found, play a game or two of whatever. And it's just a way for, if you've never been to a virtual retreat before, it sort of, it breaks the ice for you. So, as I said, now, all of you that have registered, you will get next Wednesday, watch your email, next Wednesday, you will receive the agenda for the day, plus the links for the retreat itself, and the Zoom link for the Icebreaker Cocktail Party. So don't panic if you haven't seen that yet, because I haven't sent it out yet. Also, a reminder, if you are registered and you haven't done it yet, do it. Send me one picture of a creation you're very proud of. And all I need is that picture. You don't need to write an explanation of it, because I'm not using any explanations in the slideshow. I do need your first and last name. That's all. And I'm going to put it in the slideshow. Now, I have a deadline for that. And the deadline is next Tuesday, I think. For the show and shares, Tuesday, April the 14th. I'll give you right up till midnight for that, in whatever time zone you're in. So, this weekend would be good for you to find that one picture that you want to put in there and get that sent off to me. Yeah. So it's coming fast. But as I said, there's some more spots available. So go for it. Okay. I think that's all the announcements. So we're going to carry on with our discussion of Accuquilt. I've had many comments, and I'm going to share some of those comments with you in a moment, after you've seen this week's video. But this week, last week we did the Carpenter's Wheel, which is a more complex block. It's one die, a big die for that. So I'm backing it up a little bit, because we'd already talked about the value there is, if you're going to get an Accuquilt system, to purchase, although it'll seem expensive at the time, what they call a cube. The cubes are coming from 4-inch right up to 12-inch, and what the numbers referred to is the size of the blocks that it makes. So a 4-inch makes a 4-inch finished block. A 12-inch makes a 12-inch finished block. So I am going to show you in this video this week how to use the 8-inch cube, and using one of Accuquilt's patterns as well. So I'm going to show you how to cut, how to organize your fabric, and also to, talk a little bit about how they set these cubes up, because they come in a nice box for storing them in, and it's not a flimsy cardboard box. It's a substantial, I don't know what you would call it, some kind of almost a press board kind
Yeah,
of a thing.
they're not corrugated cardboard.
No,
They're like a very solid
yeah,
cardboard. Yeah.
they're great for storing your dies in, and they're it's also when you open it up, everything is labeled for what it is. They do things, their instruction booklet with the patterns in it tells you what number and color block you should use. The color of fabric, well, you can use any color fabric you want. But I go through all of that and show you how to use it, and we create a block using the 8-inch cube. Now, why did I pick the 8-inch cube? Well, I explain in the video. Because in my way of thinking, 8-inch blocks are probably one of the standards in quilt making for size. So that's why I'm started with that. Now, so I'm going to insert that video in here. If you want to pause the video, because this video part is going to take 26 minutes. So grab a cup of coffee and enjoy the cube.
Now, last week I showed you how to make a fairly complex block using the Accuquilt system. We did the carpenter's wheel. But I thought I should backtrack a little bit and talk about the cube sets that you can get, because you can create over 72 different blocks with one cube set. Now, the cube sets, come in different sizes. I've picked for today's demo the 8-inch block because this means finished, it's 8 inches, unfinished, it's 8.5. And this is pretty much a really good size to work with for creating a quilt. Now, this is the whole box system that you get, and it has all the dies plus this little section here, which usually includes a CD, old technology, that tells you what you need to know about Accuquilt in general. You can go to their website and get the same information. In this center part that is empty at the moment, a 6-inch cutting mat came with this block because that's what you'll need to cut your fabric. And then a booklet comes with this as well. I'm going to show you the booklet because I've taken it out of the box. And this is our booklet right here. And this, they call it the pattern book, comes with every cube set. It gives you a picture of all the different blocks you can make with this set. It shows you the dies that are in this set, and there are 8 dies. 8 dies in here. Gives you some general cutting information, which we've already gone over in a previous video. Shows you how to set up your cutting machine, whichever style you have for cutting them. And then talks about organizing your dies. What we're going to be focusing on is making one of the blocks in this book. But before we do that, they do explain how to read the diagrams and instructions that are included in the book. So here you see they have a picture of one of the blocks, and then they have an outline of that block, and there's numbered. And those numbers correspond to your fabric pieces, which dies you need to cut out particular shapes, and the color. Now, in this particular example, there are 4 different colors, and you're going to be using only 2 of the dies, number 4 and number 2. But number 4 will cut a triangle, a quarter square triangle, and this one cuts a 2.5-inch square. So let's just take a look in the box at these. So I'm going to take out this first section, put that to the side. And here are all your dies. I can't get them all in the picture, but here you go. So they have them numbered, as you can see. Let's just fold that up a bit. So you can see there's a number right here. This is number 1, and it tells you it cuts a square, and the size of the square is 4.5 inches unfinished, 4 inches finished. Number 2 die shows you a diagram of what it looks like. It cuts 2.5 inch unfinished, 2-inch finished squares, and it cuts 4 of them at a time. Number 3 is your half square triangle. 4 inches finished square, and it cuts out 4 of them. And the last die, number 4, is your quarter square triangle, 4 inches finished, and it cuts out 4 of the quarter square triangles. Okay, so all of these numbers match up with their diagram here. So let's take a look at which one we're going to cut. And I thought, for the sake of this demonstration, we would cut, oh, well, let's just take a look here of what they're showing you, but there's more. And you can go to their website and you can get the instructions for all 72 of the different blocks this set will cut. But we have this one, the diamond star, and they're talking about making it into a quilt. So they have all the instructions showing you how to make this one. Oops, I'm out of shot, sorry. For making this into a quilt. And then they have this one that they call the propeller block pattern, and they show you pictures of it, and etc. They show you various ones. The one I'm going to focus on for this demonstration is this block, called the trellis block pattern, because it looks fairly simple. Okay, so the instructions down here, die cut chart for 1 8-inch finished block. So this will make one block. And it's telling us which ones we need. We need number 2, 5, 2, 5, 7, 7. Okay, so we'll go to our set. We need die 2. So this is the square. I'm just looking at this, yeah. And we'd use this for a couple of the colors. We also need number 5. Okay. Yeah, I'm lost. Half square triangle. Okay. So this is not marked. That's a half square triangle, but okay, I think I need to refer to the instructions again. Oh, okay. Cut. Carry on. So I thought for this demonstration, we would use this particular pattern called the trellis block pattern. And we look down here and we can pull out the dies that we need. Now we need a number 5 die. We do not have a number 5 die here. Yes, we do. Second box. And there's our number 5 die. And these are also marked on the end, as you can see here, telling you the number and the half square triangle, and it's got the number 5. So we know we need a number 5. We need a number 2, and we need a number 7. So here's the number 7. And you'll see they have some inserts to show you more information on patterns. So we need number 7, and it's marked right here, number 7. And we need number 2. So put this away. Oops, I'm losing things. Bear with me. Okay, put that in there. I love these boxes. They're really compact and well put together, actually. So slide that away. And we need number 2. And I've already taken number 2 out. And let's double check. Yeah, this is number 2, the squares. So I have my dies ready to go. Put that all away back in its handy little box. set that to the side, and there are all my dies. Okay, so it says in the instructions, it tells me how many I need to cut and what color. I need 4 different colors. First one is a white, which is the background. It could be any color you want. And then they have some orange, some red, and some green. So I have pulled up some fabrics for this. And by the way, it tells you how much you need, 1/8 of a yard of each of those colors. So I pulled up my colors. I have pressed them. And I did give them a little bit of a spurts with acorn pressing solution, which is a non-starch based starch, for lack of a better word, to make sure everything's nice and flat and crisp. So I'm going to go and get those, and away we'll go. Okay, so I've picked out my colors and I have pressed them and used a little acorn pressing solution on them so they're nice and stiff. And I'm just using scraps for this because it only calls for 1/8 of a yard for each color. So I've got my first die, which is a half square triangle. And according to the instructions, I need to cut, let me see the book. Here's the book. I need to cut 10 of number 5. Now it's showing just the half, so I need 10, but I'm going to cut 2 at a time. So here we go. Just lay my fabric on here. And because I'm using a scrap, I'm not getting too particular about whether it all fits on the die or not, as long as it's covering up my cutting section. Put on my cutting mat and put it through the machine. Now I doubled over my fabric so I can get the most out of it in one cut, remembering I can't go more than 6 layers of fabric. And so that's gone through. And how many did I get? I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 8. I need 2 more. And I'm going to cut a couple of extras just because I have the fabric already folded for this. So I'll put it in. Give it a little rub. And there we go. And there's my waist. We'll get rid of that. And so in total, I only needed 10, but I've cut 16, and that's okay. So I'm just going to put a clip on these, and I'll just set those aside. So the next thing I need, according to the instructions, I do need to cut. I'm going to skip over. I'm going to use the same die where I can. So I need to cut in the yellowy goldy color. I need to cut 4. So I'm going to take my goldy color. This is what I'm going to use for that. I'm just going to fold it over, and I need 4 of these. Give it a little rub because it's static. And I should have 4. I got 2, 4. Okay. Now, I'm going to let you in on something here. I'm not absolutely sure when they say, and this always confuses me, they say to cut 4 half square triangles. But do they mean 4 of all of this in total, or do they mean 4 halves? Good question. So just to be a little bit on the safe side, and I've got extra fabric here, I'm just going to cut again. Better to have too many than not enough. I mean, the worst case scenario is I don't have enough and I have to go back to the machine and cut again, but I'd rather not have to do that. Okay, so there's all my half square triangles cut in the goldy yellow color. Now I believe there was one more cut I needed to make with this particular die. And that is, yes, in the pinky, purpley red color. They have sort of a reddy color. I'm using a purple. And this is the color I have decided to use. And it says I need 2. So I'm just going to fold my fabric over. Now you'll notice if this was directional fabric, I would do a fan fold to get everything going in the right way, but it's not, so I don't have to worry about that. And don't worry about the little overhang. That doesn't really bother anything at all. So there are my triangles, my half square triangles. Said I only needed 2 of these. Well, I've cut 4 of them. Let's put a clip on that. Okay, we are now done with this die. So let's pick up the next die, which is the square. Now this one does 4 2-inch finished squares. And I need, 2.5-inch finished squares. No, 2.5 unfinished 2-inch finished squares. It says I only need 2. And I need 2 in the goldy color, and I need 2 in that purpley color. So I'm going to get out my yellow fabric. Again, it says I only need 2. I'm going to cut a few more. Just going to double my fabric over. Place it on here so it covers the cutting area. And in we go. So I have plenty here because I got 8 when it says I only need 2 in this color. And then I need 2 more in the purple color. I'm just going to do the same thing again. Okay. Now sometimes you'll see a thread or something, it'll pull a little bit. That happens if you've used the die quite a bit. Little debris gets caught down inside here. And that's when I showed you the first time I did any of this. I showed you the little pick for digging those out. That's just general maintenance. We're not going to worry about that right now. That's fine. Another clip. Okay, I think we're now done with that block. Yes, so now we go to the third block and the last color. This is this trapezoid. And okay, now this one, we need to have 4 that go this way and 4 that go the other way. Okay, well, yeah, because this is, okay, direct. So this is what I mean about being directional. So I need, it says 2. I'm going to fold this in half. So what I should get out of this is one that goes to the left, one that goes to the right. Because I folded it so that I'll have a mirror image. That's basically what we're talking about here. So here's one that goes that way, and here's one that goes the opposite way. I hope you can see that. Let me get better in the picture. Okay. And I'm going to do that again because I need 2 of each of those. So make sure fabric's folded. So that one goes that way. So I have 2 of them, mirror image. See how quick that was? Put those aside and let's review. So, right position here so you can see. So I now have all my pieces cut. Now it's a question of putting them together. So we're going to follow the instructions. But before I do that, I need to set up my sewing machine. I'm going to put a clip in these just to keep them all together. Oh, that one's a broken clip. Well, that's no good. Okay. All clipped. My little pile is here off camera. I'm going to put the Accuquilt Cut Go machine away, and then we'll come back and lay out our pieces for sewing. Okay, so now we're going to start building the block. And the first thing they want us to do, and I'll turn this around so you'll see it from the right perspective, they would like you to take a purple block, they show it red here, and the Goldie block, and sew them together to make them into half square triangles. And you're going to do that with the white and the gold as well. And we need 2 of each of these. So this is the beauty of the Accuquilt. You'll notice how the dog ears are already taken off. So if we take these, lay them good sides together, right sides together, and you just line them up with that bottom edge, that line there, and away we go. We just sew 1/4 of an inch from point to point. We don't need to draw a line. We don't need to do any trimming. This should come out as a perfect 4.5 inch, or sorry, 4.5 or 2.5. No, I think it's 4.5. Yeah, it'll be a 2.5 inch half square triangle. So I'm going to take these to my sewing machine. I'm going to do these 4. And then it wants you to take all 4 of those and do a 4 patch. Put them all together and using this diagram for showing you how to lay them out. So I'm going to go off and do that. Okay, so we have finished this block right here. And we put our 4 half square triangles, looking at the diagram in the booklet. This is how we need to sew them together in a 4 patch. So that is done. Now we need to take our parallelogram and sew a half square triangle in white to each side of those. And these will match up. What you want to do with these is when you lay your piece over here, match it up with the straight edge. Yes, you're going to have a little piece right here poking over, and that is okay. So I need to make 2 of this one, 2 of this one, and we'll be back. I have all these pieces sewn together, as you can see here. We have our 4 patch, and then we have our 2 parallelograms that are going in opposite directions. There were dog ears on the ends of these. I just clipped them off, and now we can lay out the whole block according to the actual diagram here and sew them across, and we'll sew them in rows, and away we'll go. So let's lay that out. So we're going to start with, just turn my diagram. We need purple one. Now I'm doing this so I can see it, and I'll turn it around so you can see it. Well, it's going to go the same way no matter which way I do it. So one of those, one of these. Now make sure I get it in the right orientation. It goes this way, and then a yellow square. And then we have one of these goes this way. The center one, right orientation for that, yes. And then one of these going this way. And then we have a yellow square here. And the last parallelogram goes this way, and then the purpley square this way. So there, let me just double check it before I show it to you in the right configuration. Yes, yes, everything is going the right way. So I'll just turn this around, and here it is. And this is what it should look like. Now we're going to sew the first row, and I'm going to put my seams towards the right. So the next row, seams to left, bottom row, seams to the right, and then I'm going to sew the top row to the middle row, and then the bottom row to the middle row. Press everything, make sure it's squared up, and we'll have our block. So I'm going to do that and show you the finished product in a second. So our block is now finished, as you can see, all nicely laid out. And I did use some Acorn precision pressing solution just to flatten everything out nice. And I just measured it, and it measures exactly 8.5 by 8.5 unfinished. So this is an 8-inch square finished. And that's all there is to it using the Accuquilt. One other advantage of using the Accuquilt is matching up your intersection points is pretty much perfect with this as well. Very easy to use, gives you good results every time. Just follow the instructions. So with the 8-inch cube block that I showed you earlier, I made that block. However, there are 72 different blocks you can make with this one set. Now, these are expensive. They're over $250 Canadian, but 72 different blocks out of one set, I think that's a pretty good value. So I hope you, if you've got your Accuquilt, if you've got a block or a cube, go for it. If you're thinking about buying an Accuquilt, well, you've seen some of the advantages. So you can determine for yourself, do you want to invest that kind of money into this system?
Okay, so I hope that made it clear why the cube is a good value. Any of the cubes for that matter. Next week I'm going to go to the biggest cube. The 8 inches is kind of the middle of the road. The 12 inch is the bigger one. It's huge. And I'm going to do another block with that. And the week after that, I'm going to go to the other extreme and the 4-inch. Now, my plan for later on is I'm going to take these ones that I'm making in all these demos, and I'm going to show you more demos and more dies that I own and things like that. And I'm going to put them all together at the end, when I get to an end point of all of this in weeks and weeks' time, into a quilt. And yeah, so I hope you're enjoying the Accuquilt videos that I have been producing. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below or send them to me as an email about what I've been showing or something you don't understand, and I'll be happy to try and explain it to the best of my ability. I have to do that because Walter can't. Maybe I should have Walter try to make a block from a cube. But I don't want to tie him up. He's busy with his shirts and his free motion quilting and things like that. I don't want to overwhelm the poor boy.
And getting things straightened out for our trip.
Yes, that too. So, okay, comments from last week. All right, so Inez says, thank you for doing the Accuquilt. It would be nice if a person purchased the machine and could rent the dies. I would like to get it just for the 2.5-inch squares. That is a great idea. Somebody should, Accuquilt will never do this because their profit comes from selling the equipment, selling the dies. But if somebody was like a quilt store, and maybe there are ones that do this, I don't know. I've never come across one that does, but maybe somewhere in the world there is. But if they had an Accuquilt in their store and they maybe rented out time for people to use it, or if they had dies and they could rent out the dies.
I don't know. You'd have to. I don't know. I wonder if Accuquilt limits what people can do with them.
That's a good question. That's a possibility too, because that would eat into there. Like if you could go to a store and rent for a few bucks a die why would you need to go and buy it? So, and Accuquilt does keep a very close control on their authorized dealers. So that may be why there isn't such a thing. I hadn't thought of that. I don't really have a business mind when it comes to that kind of thing. To my ideas, sure, that would be great. Would help people
Actually,
out.
it does sound like a really good idea, but
Yep.
the fact that it doesn't seem like we've seen a lot of that
No.
would indicate to
Yeah.
me that there's a restriction.
Now, there's another way around that. If there were people in your area or something who had Accuquilt, and as a group, like maybe through a guild or something,
Yeah,
you share
yeah.
back and forth. I mean, Accuquilt can't do anything about that. If somebody in your group owns the die, then they can do what they want to do with that die. So, oops, I may be undercutting a company's profit margin. I don't know. But that was a good point that Inez brought up, I thought. Georgette said, thank you for showing how to put the carpenter's wheel together. I have this die but haven't made a quilt with it yet. I love my Accuquilt system. I have so much trouble cutting fabric with my wrists as I've gotten older. And this has, excuse me, I got to turn pages. And this has helped a lot in my quilting. It's worth the cost to me. I'm glad you are going to do a video on the Qcube system as well. Looking forward to that one. So this is what we said before. If you have trouble with your, arthritis or in your hands or something like that, carpal tunnel, all that kind of stuff, then an Accuquilt, the electric one especially, might be a godsend to you. And obviously this person has those problems, and that's why she thinks it's worth the money with it. I mean, I've heard many older people say, I just can't quilt like I used to anymore because of the arthritis in my fingers, my wrists, or my wrists are sore, or whatever like that. Well, it's a shame that because of something like that, you have to give up what you love to do. If this can help you do it longer, then...
Yeah, some people have problems with their hands and stuff like that, that maybe they can cut a little bit, but then they might not be able to cut a lot.
Yeah. So, there are definite advantages to it. The price, yes, we've already discussed that. It is pricey. And Maureen says, if you make a quilt using the Accuquilt, then Walter could custom quilt it. There is an idea. Yep.
I have to admit, I'm still a little apprehensive about quilting quilt, but I think it's one of those things that you have to get over.
Yeah, I think you do. Well, your practice quilt is on the wall over there for you to get started on that. Now,
I'll get going a bit more with my.
I won't trust you with the Alaska quilt.
No. I don't want to do that.
But
actually, I don't really see any big advantage to me to learn to do big edge-to-edge patterns.
No, I think customization is more.
Yeah, you might be able to do something like do an edge-to-edge and learn how to do borders more through custom quilting.
Borders would be good.
Yeah, and we can work that out.
Yeah,
we'll see how.
That
works.
We have time. I think. Oh well. If we're dead in the morning, we'll know. But yeah. Okay, so thank you for your comments, and keep the comments coming. I think we all learn from what you have to say, and not everybody reads the comment section. You should, because oftentimes you can learn quite a bit from other people besides just the content creator. And I learned something as well. We learned something from the comments as well, because there's ideas there that we had not thought of. So yeah, so I read them all and I respond to most of them. Like if there's a response needed, or sometimes I just give it a heart. Just say, okay, I acknowledge that you sent that comment, and don't worry, I did see it, kind of a thing. Because you don't always know if we've seen it. I mean, when I write comments on other content creators' things, I never know. If they don't say anything, I never know if they've seen it or not. But anyways, I do. I read them. So rest assured, your words do not
so
fall
if
on
you
deaf
write
ears.
a nasty comment,
I will see that too. And I will respond in kind. Yes. Okay, so that's it for this week on So Chatty. And yeah, tune in next week and we'll continue with our Walter's Adventures in Free Motion Quilting. our whatever we're creating. I'm working on a new project right now. Yeah, I need another project. I've got 2 on the go right now. Now I've got a third one. The third one is an In the Hoop project and has an Australian theme to it. More about that probably on the Idiot Quilter next Tuesday as well. Yeah, any final words?
No, I think we've had it covered.
Like and subscribe and comment, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm just going to interrupt my program for just 1 second to remind you to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for future notifications. That's all I ask of you. Show me a little love. Thanks.